Welcome to the Recharge Zone podcast. This is your host, Brent Doty, and my co-host, Ann-Margaret.
Hi, y'all.
All right, and we're joined by our special guest today, Isabel Martinez. Isabel, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Isabel is our Senior Permit and Conservation Coordinator here at the EAA, and she's here to talk to us today all about conservation and all about what she does. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and I'm excited because we've been doing our Agriculture Out West segment or column in the News Drop magazine, which is our publication that comes out every 2 months. Can you give us a little bit about what you do and share an overview of the work that you do at the EAA?
Sure. I've been with the EAA for 15 years, and what I do is I manage the conservation programs for our permitting programs. Basically, I help permit holders find ways to save water through their groundwater conservation plans. I also administer the Groundwater Conservation Grant Program, which has been really instrumental in helping our irrigators out west save water. And I also help out with our critical period management when we are in, which is our drought management program.
And we've talked about this on the podcast before, at least that part of it, the CPM, critical period management. That's when we reduce pumping during drought, right?
That is correct, yes.
So at different increments of J17 and J27 are index wells in our spring flows, we incrementally decrease pumping up to 44% at worst. So that's a stage 5 drought. We're hoping to avoid that right this year.
Yes.
Things are actually looking okay because July was really good. We got a lot of rain in July. So right now we're in stage 3, I think.
Stage 3, yes.
But I kind of wanted to get into this conservation side of it, these helping the irrigators. What kinds of things are you looking to do for them that save water and increase conservation?
Well, since 2016, our Groundwater Conservation Grant Program has focused on what we call our Irrigation Efficiency Improvement Program. And that allows irrigators to take advantage of funding opportunities from us, where they are converting from an older irrigation method, whether it be where they flood their fields, which is not very efficient, or they have an older system already installed. And over the years, it loses efficiency as well. So we help them secure funding through our program to help install a new system that'll make them more efficient, save water, and help them continue their livelihood.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I know it saves a lot of acre feet converting from flood irrigation to, these are central pivots that are essentially drip irrigation over a large area, hundreds of acres. Right.
Right. Yes, we do have some large operations out there west in Medina and Uvalde counties. So yes, we are really fortunate to be able to help them with that and save water. When we convert from a flood to a center pivot, flood is usually 50% efficient, meaning that 50% of the water can be lost to evaporation or just overwatering. When compared to a sprinkler system, they are between 80 to 95% efficient.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, you're saving a lot of water when converting to that. And so, and we're really glad when we help the smaller operations as well, because those systems can be quite expensive.
Right. Yeah. They're over $100,000 for a new one, right? Like.
Yes. With the infrastructure, putting installing the pipeline from the well to where the sprinkler will be located and installed. That is some funding that is a cost that is kind of more extravagant, helps make it extravagant.
Oh, interesting. Because so with flood irrigation, that's traditionally what had been used before pivot became useful and efficient for people to use?
Right. Yes. That was the most common because it was the easiest. The technology wasn't there yet. People would essentially connect their wells through their own pipeline system. They would then put an above ground pipe that would have holes. That's one way to do it. And then they would just basically pump the water through that pipe, and then the holes in the pipe would then flow out water onto the field.
Oh, wow.
And there was another way where people would actually put tubes. I would kind of liken them to a large corrugated tube, and they would have maybe a ditch close to their field, and they would then put water in the ditch, and then by vacuum put water in the field by those tubes. So they would they would have the water sucked out from the ditch into the field.
Oh, interesting.
And that would flood the field.
Oh,
so
wow.
it was convenient for them as far as an easy operation. But it was, at times, but then there are times where I have I like to go out when I have a project where I'm converting a flood to a sprinkler system, and the farmer will tell me a story of when his dad or his grandpa would do this, and how the operation that they had to employ a lot of people to help get the pipes out onto the field, and that was just a lot of backbreaking.
That
work.
makes sense, because you're talking about like
sure.
acres and acres of
Yes.
right
Yes.
farmland.
Mm-hmm. And then they would have to move it if they don't. I mean, you can't have, I'm sure, hundreds of feet pipe.
Yes.
So they would have to then move the pipe after they were done irrigating one section of the field. So I mean,
Oh my
it was a
gosh.
continuous
Moving
type of
pipe, moving tarps and dams and things.
Yes.
And then like the weather, like dealing with the weather. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it was just as hot.
Wow.
No.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's really convenient for them to take advantage of this opportunity, because it helps them continue their operation, maybe even make it bigger, or make it easier for them to continue it in their lineage with their children or their grandchildren.
That's amazing.
To take over the operation.
Yes. Yeah. How many I guess what is it, water saving practices have we converted?
I had
Lots.
lots. So 2016, so what, we're maybe like going on 9 years on this program. I converted, we usually award between 4 to 6 operations.
Oh, nice.
So I would say probably like 40.
Wow.
Close to 40 grants that we've awarded
That's amazing.
up to this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
and they're all in, like, you would say, what is it, center pivot called? That's what it's called?
yes, so there's a center pivot where if you ever look on an airplane, I always remember growing up and I was like, why are there circles in the ground?
Yes.
And those are the center pivots. Those are basically a large field where there's a sprinkler system that's connected in the middle of the field, and it would just rotate in a circle.
Oh.
So that's a center pivot. They're also linear sprinklers.
Okay.
So those sprinklers are just basically a large line of sprinklers that are just straight, and they'll just move straight across the field.
Okay.
And it really depends. A lot of times the supplier or even the U.S. Department of Agriculture, they have agents that go and help farmers determine which is the best way.
Oh, nice. So we work with them to help.
We don't work with them
Okay.
directly. They will work directly with the producer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So there's some opportunities for them to take advantage of, to help them decide what's the best way to convert into a more efficient system.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't touched, also there is subsurface drip.
Okay.
So subsurface drip that's a rather newer technology. Essentially, they will install tape into the ground.
Oh.
I want to say maybe at least, like, I'm not quite sure, but a couple inches underneath the topsoil, and that water will just drip into the ground after they plant.
Wow.
And so it's like 95 to almost 99% efficient. There's little loss to evaporation.
Incredible.
And so that's an more expensive system.
Wow.
We see some smaller operations doing that in our area. We have funded a couple.
Mm-hmm. Wow, really?
Yes, we have.
Interesting.
And because a lot of times, a lot of these projects are also getting some equip money, so it kind of helps these newer technologies get installed too.
Oh, yes.
That's the program through the National Soil Conservation Service?
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
I think some of our listeners are not from here. Others are new to this region. Do you know anything about what kind of crops are typically grown here? Or?
Yes, that is mainly why I approached Ann-Margaret about, featuring the crops that are grown in our area. I've lived here practically all my life, and then getting this opportunity to go work out with these irrigators and these producers, and I was like, wow, look at all these things that we plant in our region, and I had no clue. Yeah. So of course you see on probably HB commercials or whatnot, corn is a big commodity that's known here in the area, but cotton is a big crop being grown in the region. Recently, sesame became a big commodity.
Yeah, they have like a contract for McDonald's or
yes,
something.
Oh, really?
Yes. Big time corporations will have a contract with our producers in the area.
Wow.
It's a really drought tolerant, water efficient crop.
And did it just thrive out west? Is that why?
I saw a lot of them last year.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, they like our weather conditions.
Yeah,
and, they grow effectively.
So if you get a sesame seed bun, it could be the sesame seeds.
Oh
could be
my
from here.
gosh. So do farmers, irrigators, do they keep doing the same crops year after year, or do they go kind of where it's needed? Like they'll change their farm to farm sesame, or they'll farm cotton, or do they just stick to one crop?
It's my understanding that a lot of times they'll do the same, just because it might be just something that they're very well comfortable with planting and farming, or
over decades of farming it, right?
Right, yes. Or if, they might even actually have an agreement or a contract with some sort
that
of
makes sense,
distributor, that I need you to plant this and harvest this for me too.
Okay, that makes sense.
Sort of like in a business agreement.
Yes.
But and aside from other crops, there's I learned that there's cucumbers. There is we visited a sunflower field not too long ago. There's onions being grown. A lot of times there's some people do also harvest. Plant mums in the fall.
Wow.
Oh,
Sort of as like an ornamental. So there's some ornamentals also being planted in our region. So there's it's definitely a big spectrum of crops that are being grown in our area.
And yeah, for our listeners, most of these irrigated fields are in Medina and Uvalde County in our jurisdiction. So that's the western portion of our counties. Do you see any on the east side, like Comal County? Is there anything like that?
I haven't seen anything as far as being involved with my program.
But there are a few.
There are a few. Well, another big commodity in our area is hay.
Oh, yes.
For the sake of livestock. So I do know that there are some pretty large hay producers, Bermuda or whatnot in the eastern part of our region. So
yeah, so this is actually a huge part of the region's economy is still agriculture. I mean, obviously it's tourism and industry in and around San Antonio, but once you get out of town, agriculture is the main industry.
Yes, it is.
It's so fascinating to me because, like you were saying, like I've grown up in San Antonio my whole life, and I wouldn't know half of this stuff unless I worked with you on the Agriculture Out West series and the News Drop. Like, you know what I mean? Like, right. And for example, when we went to go visit the McFadden farms and he was talking about the corn and he was explaining the different segments of corn and like the process that it grows through, and then what is it? The fungus that grows on the corn?
Oh, yeah, the smut.
Yes. And I was like, it's like a science, right? Like yes. Growing crops, it's a science.
Yes, it is. It is definitely is. And they are definitely the masters of that science.
I know. I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they kind of have to sort of try to predict how much rain there might be and
yeah.
how much water they have available. So having an efficient system, I'm sure, helps them finish out their crops appropriately. When on a year like this, when it's been super dry, it can be challenging, I imagine.
Yes, for sure.
And then you would think too, like with critical period management and Uvalde being in stage 5, so water efficient practices are so important.
Very important.
Right?
Yes, because it's not just there are several cities that also depend on that water to provide for their residents. So, yeah, it's while that is a really large industry out there, it is very vital for them to be smart.
Yes.
So when we have a prolonged drought like this, and someone's already started a crop, is there something called apply to finish out a crop?
Yes. We have an exemption where it's called the Notice of Intent to Finish Out a Crop.
Right. And
what that involves is the producer approaches us and informs us that they are in the process of, they have a cropping ground. But with the continuing uncertainty, like we do not know, we can't predict, unfortunately, how long we'll be in a critical period stage. And so we basically give like a generalized forecast. Well, worst case scenario till the end of the year, if we stay in this certain stage, this is what we're looking at as far as how it'll impact your permit, how much your permit will be reduced. And so when they look at that as a planning tool, they realize I'm going to possibly have not enough water to cover my crops that I already have in ground too, and I need to continue them because A, it'll be a loss for me, and B,
it's their livelihood,
it's
right?
their livelihood,
yeah.
And this is an important product.
Yes, people need it too.
Yeah. So what we offer them is an opportunity to take advantage of this, where they tell us, they inform us like, this is the crop I have in ground. This is when I'm going to harvest it, and then if they have followed all of our rules as far as not have already overpumped, they have to stay. I'm doing my part in being efficient in water management, then we can give them an exemption where we do not apply a critical period reduction to them. They will basically, in all sense of the word, have their whole permit for use,
Yes.
they won't be penalized. And that gives them a little bit of that gives them a lot of breathing room,
Yes.
actually,
Sure.
because
Oh my
they can
gosh.
continue to plan with how they need to for the year. So that's something that our producers can take advantage of when critical period will negatively affect their water
Yeah, seems really
usage.
important for a year like this.
Oh yes, most definitely.
Didn't we, last year we sponsored an event at the San Antonio Livestock Show and Rodeo, right?
Yes. This year, we sponsored the landscape challenge, the junior landscape challenge.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and that was really cool. And I was really happy that we could do that because as part of our conservation program, when it comes to both municipal and municipal and industrial permit holders, we have a landscape best management practice.
Nice.
And so I thought, what better way to get that type of education understanding to high school students?
Yes.
And so
that's amazing.
This challenge allowed them to they had to plan out a landscape based on they supposedly had a client who wanted this and wanted that. And so, and then we were able to ask them to incorporate a water saving component
Oh, cool.
into their plan requirements. And so, they were able, this was the first year they put a water saving requirement into the plan requirement.
What made me think of that is like here at the Education Outreach Center, we have the native plant demonstration garden. And so to me, I'm like, when you told me about that, I was like, oh, that's amazing because you don't realize how important it is to plant native, like how much of a difference it makes, right?
Yes, it really does. It really does. Because especially with this year being as bad as it is, if you don't have a native landscape, you kind of see how difficult it is to maintain it properly.
Yes.
And, a loss of money and a loss of time and effort. And
that's true.
Then you're going to have to spend more money if you want to go back that same way. So the native landscape is kind of like a basic understanding, like, okay, this is what thrives.
Yes.
So, this is what'll do well here.
Yes. Kind of going back to, I know we mentioned it a few times, but the agriculture out west in the column in the News Drop magazine. Can you give us kind of an overview and how that came to fruition?
So the agriculture out west feature is something I'm really, really happy that we could do. That was, like I said, when I was out visiting these farmers with their grant projects, and I just got a really good appreciation of what they do and what they have to deal with and the type of planning that they have to also consider when it comes to how they're going to use their water.
Yeah.
And I was just really happy that we could help them, be part of that planning process. So I wanted to feature the type of crops, like I said, been here forever. Well, feels like forever. Yeah. Been here most of my life and did not know that all these different crops are being grown out here. And that was, the foundation of like how a city is established.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
You couldn't.
Good point.
They wouldn't settle if they couldn't plant a crop.
Good point. Yes.
So, so it was just more of a history type of. This is this was the start of our region, of the South Central Texas region. As it's expanded. From out west to up to. We do have some farmers in the Bexar County area.
We do.
Yeah, and part of the west and southern.
Oh,
part.
yes.
But that was just something I was like, this is something that people need to understand and appreciate. That we just don't get vegetables and fruits in the grocery store. They come from somewhere. Exactly. So yes, and I just thought also it would be a really cool feature for people just to appreciate what's out there.
Yes.
What is out in the West? Because I never went there until I had to go there for work. And if you have an opportunity to, and it's just beautiful.
Yes.
To see those fields. You see the sunflower fields and just that bright patch of gold in the middle of nowhere. The cotton, with the flowers and then the bowl that it becomes. It's fascinating. And so I just wanted an opportunity to be able to like help people understand and learn. That was my whole thing. Like, this is what we have out here.
And then to me, I'm like, to even when we've gone and met some of the families, like the life of a farmer and then the generational farming too. To me, I'm like, I'm sure that's something that maybe doesn't get passed down all the time. Maybe decades ago, it was more of a traditional thing to kind of take on farming from, the older generations. But even to still see some generational farming happening, to me, that's amazing.
Yes, I totally agree. Yes, because it is. Back then, I'm pretty sure the thought was, go get a city job. Go get an education, go get a city job. But yes, it is heartwarming to see those generational farmers, farming dynasties happen.
Yes, yes.
I really, really enjoy seeing that because it's heartwarming and makes me feel assured that this industry is going to continue.
Yes.
Because it's very important,
Yes.
and if it's a local crop, it kind of helps the economies locally as well because, we don't have to worry about bringing in and the cost of.
It's a domino effect of everything,
Exactly.
right? Like, oh
right.
my gosh.
So yes, so that's why, it is really good to see, those generations. You are right about that.
And I think even to see, like, when we went out and we did the hay, we looked at the hay making process. That's even interesting too, because you don't think it directly impacts you or affects you, but it's like it's being given to livestock, and then that livestock goes on to do other things. You know what I mean? Like, so it is like a domino effect of different things happening and coalescing all at once. So.
Right. Yeah. No, you are right about that. They are definitely a chain that they help each other and depend on each other at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Isabel, these programs are super exciting. They benefit tons of people. They benefit the economy. We're so glad you could join us today and talk all about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Isabel. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Recharge Zone podcast. Have questions, ideas for topics, or things you would like to share with us? Well, reach out to us at rechargezone@edwardsaquifer.org.